Darren, you mentioned about Clive Lloyd. I mean, when I saw the West Indian team in the 70s, when I was going there, there was Derek Murray, you had a Larry Gomes, and later on there was this guy called Fouad Bacchus, you know, and they were the white players in the team led by Lloyd, and then later Alvin Kalichuran. I mean, you've been very vocal about racism in the last few weeks. I mean, what do you think of that? I mean, from a West Indian point of view, how did uh, a black majority team embrace people with white skin? There were, I thought there was never a problem.
No, we've never had a problem embracing any culture. If you notice the history of Black people, or people of color across the world, we've always had to adapt to our environment, always had to adapt to the places that we go. We dealing with others have never really been an issue, or embracing other people's culture has never been an issue. It has always been an issue the other way around, people embracing us. So when I speak about the history of what you know when I watch Fire in Babylon, like I referenced to, and saw all those changes that came to the game because we were so dominant. You probably have firsthand knowledge, because that was during your era of watching cricket and seeing it happening. I think I have a valid point. Before that, Australia used to dominate with Thompson and Lilly, and we were not hearing these calls for the rules to change. It's not until the West Indies team became such a dominant force, the rules came about, and I take it as that systemic racism trying to limit the success that this team had. It still did not stop us, because I mean we are strong-minded. We are also powerful once we put our heads down together. As we've shown across the years, with such oppression and all the social and racial injustice, the police brutality, like in America and those places, we still find ways to rise. So imagine if we were all on a level playing field, where everything is afforded just like it's been afforded to other people. How great, we could be, and that's, we're in a time that, one should not be faced with such adversity like this. You want to achieve something in life, there will be challenges, other people competing. There should never be that sort of difficulty to get to your goal because of the color of your skin. And that is what I'm against. And with everything that has happened, it's create a conversation across the globe, across sports, to have a discussion about how we could make things better and how we could change. And I'm gonna continue to do that where I can.
In fact, that's a great thing. In fact, I never thought that, despite the adversities, you could really put down a black athlete. They've always performed to the highest levels.
Yeah.
You can't stop them.
Yeah, because talking about it, it's I'm very passionate about it, because if you hear the LeBron James story, if you hear, you know, the Usain Bolt stories, if you hear Brian Lara, Quickly Amber, all the successful Black athletes, I probably would say 90% of them, if you hear and understand their story, it has always been against the odds. You were not supposed to do that. We were not supposed to do that, but yet still we did it. So it's the ability and the motivation to use your adversity, your difficulties, your struggles, and turn it into something that will motivate you, you know, to be different, to change your family financially, you know, put some respect, put some value on your family name. And that's been the story for most of us. If I talk from a cricketing standpoint, you know, me wanting to make a way out of life for my family propelled me to want to become a cricketer. Me watching Sir Vivian Richards, Brian Lara, Curtly Ambrose, my idols, you know, dominating on the world stage. I saw this as an opportunity to be different, you know, but to do that, it's super, super hard. And you got to be mentally ready to face the challenges that come your way.
In fact, Darren, we often see this lovely video in 1971 when Muhammad Ali says, "Why is everything white? Why is that?"
Yes.
It's nothing new. I mean, when Ali the Greatest says this, there's definitely a problem somewhere.
Yeah, because you see, you have to understand, you know, Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves could free our minds. You know, for hundreds of years, you know, what our kids, what our, you know, forefathers, you know, what they've been through. You look at the slavery, but the generation of slaves have been, you know, made to believe that everything good is white. You know what I mean? And now people are talking about it. You know, the history, we've not been taught our true history. So when you have a generation growing up, and my kids would probably go to school and they're hearing about Christopher Columbus and how great he was, and not the real story, it is false information being put out there. So you constantly play on the young one's psyche or the mental state, thinking that, you know, I'm already less than somebody else because of all those false hope and false history that they've been taught. Now, if you talk about the real heroes of my kind, like the Martin Luther Kings, you know, Marcus Garvey, you know, even Bob Marley, and all these great ones, you know, Barack Obama, you know, all these great people, you know, we have it in our athletes, Michael Jordan, LeBron James,
Jesse Owens. So why are you forgetting
Jesse Owens?
Yeah,
Jesse Owens.
Yeah.
Jesse Owens. You know, Muhammad Ali. All these guys we mentioned. If you, you know, if you, what's this? This lady, maybe the slave lady at the that sat at the back of the bus and came to the front. She was a slave. Oh my goodness. Rosa Parks. You know, if you talk about all this great history and let our people know, even in the face of adversity, those days, what they did. And not only that, but the same way we've highlighted the white folks and given them the statues and all these things, where all they did was try to annihilate one race. If we expose them truly for what they did, you would have a better understanding of the history and a better appreciation for people of color. And it has to start, you know, from educating. You know, I think Nelson Mandela said it. You know, if you educate the mind, you know, you could change a generation. You know, elevate them from the poverty that and the struggles that they come through. Because education is knowledge is power. You know, so yeah, it's a long way. It's a long process, but it is not one that we shouldn't, you know, address. You know, it's in 2020, and you know, they always say vision. You need 2020 vision, but I think you really needed that 2020 vision to see what that is going down in 2020. You know, so I think the world is realizing, and I think it's time for change.
Do you think that the George Floyd incident, which kind of spurred you to say all this, that Black Lives Matter? I mean, if but this is nothing new. This has happened before also.
I think that was really the straw that, you know, that broke the camel's back. You know, after seeing things over and over and over again, and you know, don't forget we were right in a pandemic. You know, we're still in one. You know, the coronavirus. People at home, you know, frustrated, not being able to go outside, not being able to work and stuff like that. You know, no spots on TV. You know, everybody is paying attention. You know, so to see that happen, I think we've had incidents like that, but the manner in which this one happened, you know, there are so many symbols, you know, that brings out so many emotions. You know, I saw it, you know, not just the physical knee on the neck. I saw it as symbol of the people in power just suffocating those who are less fortunate. You know, and we see it happen all the time. The rich and famous just you know, taking advantage of the poor people, and it's just that me choking the life. You know, you can't breathe. You know, and that's what the system, you know, has been doing to people of color and also the less fortunate. You know, across the world.
Darren, you mentioned the pandemic. I mean, what a time to live now. You have a pandemic, people are intolerant. I live in a country which is in conflict with everybody around us. I mean, we have a huge border. Why have we become so intolerant in life? There's so much
I
of
think,
hatred. There's always
yeah.
hatred.
You look. You have to. My mother growing up always used to say something. Those who don't listen will feel. You understand? So if you don't listen, there's bound to be a time where you're gonna retaliate. If you keep absorbing like a sponge, the sponge absorbs the water until it can't take no more. You see it filters down. It just no more could come through the sponge. It can't absorb no more. So I think that's the people. You know, they've been like a sponge, observing all the difficulties, all the wrongdoings, you know, that's been happening, and then it's just overflowing. They can't take no more. So now you know, the less fortunate feels it's a good time that they have a voice saying something. People will listen. It will, you know, start up a fire of conversation where, you know, it could be big, you know. And I think that's what the world now is going through, where the people are fed up, you know, poor people fed up, you know, other people fed up of what's happening to people of color. And for once you see, you know, the younger generation standing up, because, you know, all the things we speak about, even myself, I wasn't there during the slavery, but, you know, my forefathers, you know, they experienced it. And now my kids, they go to school, they don't know about these things. These things have to be taught, you know, because you see a white kid and a black kid playing, they don't know of, you know, this one is better than me, until they see it and experience it from older folk. That's when it comes in the mental state. So I think education on that subject is very big.
I mean, you mentioned
and
education.
important.
Absolutely. In fact, you mentioned education, but you played cricket, and I think yesterday it was Jason Holder saying that racism should be taken in the same uh, uh, breath as doping and anti-corruption, like match fixing, and the ICC should really make a move that you have these briefings on anti-corruption, and you have briefings on but I doubt you have a briefing on racism.
Yeah, and I think few weeks ago, I was on a panel
Yes, I saw
discussing
that.
myself,
Yes.
and I think that was one of the points I brought forward. To because ICC is responsible for cricket, and you know how hard they tackle anti-corruption, because they thought it was a danger to the sport. It will diminish the credibility of the game. And cricket is a gentleman's game. So to have match fixing and stuff like that, plaguing the game, it it would be a tremendous blow. So they put all the efforts towards that, and educating even the most junior player coming through the ranks. So I know at every tournament you must go through the process of
Fixing and
the
doping.
briefing,
Yeah.
even though you've done it a million times. It's been recorded, and the more repetition, the more you remember. So I think I said that same emphasis should go towards anti-racism, and I believe, if, as I said earlier, if you know my culture, if you know a little bit about my background, if you know what what I did to get where I am, if you understand my story, there will be a greater appreciation for me, and you won't. We will compete, yes, but we will compete at a level, skill for skill, mental toughness for mental toughness, not in abuse, verbally, you know, towards the color of my skin. And I think the knowledge about that, and even you guys as journalists, I think you guys play an important role as well in the stories, in getting the public, getting the people to know the each other by doing more stories about the backgrounds, where they came from, what they had to encounter to get to that level of success. And you could understand even Michael Jordan, LeBron James, right? So many people have such admiration for what he's done because they know a kid from Akron, no father, moving from house to house. Everybody knows of that story. But how many people in cricket know a story of how Curtly Ambrose came through, how Survive came through, how Darren Sammy came through? It's not just, the top players, but how to get to international cricket or the international sport. There must be something that you did good in order to get there. So let's highlight that story. So in that way, you get to know the player better and understand him better.
Darren, you tell me something. You played across the world. I mean, you played a lot in the Indian subcontinent. And India is one country that welcomed back South Africa from those dark days of apartheid. Do you still think that, India is such a huge country? I mean, we have all kinds of races, we have various kinds of religion, that a country like this can ever be racist?
Well, like I said, I too have to learn about, just like I want to people to understand me. I too have to understand others. I mean, that's where I talk about the education, the educating. What we could do, and what I said, if you don't see it as racism, but there is colorism, like you all call it. Your India got so many ads about, Fair and Lovely, where they try to to tell you, well, they don't try. They're literally saying, you know, the lovely people are the fairer people. You know, I mean, that's what it stands for. So I think for me, the way I was raised, there's no one that could make me feel less than I am mentally because of the color of my skin. Because I believe I am wonderfully and beautifully made, you know, and I embrace
You are.
my blackness.
You are.
Yes, I embrace that. I'm the chocolate man, you know, I embrace me. But everybody is not like that, you know, and I think if we could educate others and stop, you know, using words that could be looked as degrading to someone's color of the skin, I think we need to eradicate that. And whether you know it is natural or it's part of the culture to call somebody this thing, but I believe because it has so many degrading meanings to it, it shouldn't be done, and it shouldn't be accepted, you know, period. And I think you probably understand the culture more than I do, and that's where the educating comes into place. But I've had great memories in India, man. You know, I wouldn't let that one incident um, define my relationship with India. You know, and it won't. You know, but I think it was a conversation that was needed to help eradicate such things in the game, whether it was done, you know, innocently. You understand what I'm saying? And move forward from there. I have actually moved forward, you know, and more in the process of shedding light into on that subject than criticizing, if you understand.
No, you're right. In fact, you know, that's was my question, that how difficult it is to embrace cultures, because you mentioned certain words like the kalu you mentioned, but you know, it is with a lot of fondness that we call people by those names. You know, maybe at that point in time you said that they were laughing, but it could have been a very word that you call a friend with. So yes, I mean, having known this, having kind of introspected, having kind of talked about education, would you be still as angry as that particular day when you said that I
Yeah,
demand an apology?
yeah. Well, look, if you put yourself in my shoe, where um, you you listening and to you watching a program based headed by somebody who knows the culture, and then you hear that person speak about, you know, um, how they treat people of color, and instantly you remember the same words he's talking about, what it mean, and you know how they use it being done to you. You obviously will have a reaction and want to know, hold on, so all this time this was going on, that's what this could mean. So that's why I said let's have a conversation. You know, in hindsight, you know, I'm not one who really demands apology from people. You can't ask people to apologize to you. That has to be done, you know, on that person's own terms. You understand? But I I wanted to have that conversation to clear the air about you know, when it was being used, because now I have new information that, you know, it's not what I thought it was. You understand me? So and yeah, I still see on my social media when I post, people still call me that in the comments, and you know, but I've moved past that. You know, like I said, I'm very comfortable in my skin. I was angry to find out what it meant, you know, but it is not something that I will dwell on, you
Yeah,
know,
true.
moving forward.
There are bigger issues to address.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's more about the educating than, like I said, the tearing down, you know, because me and these guys have had great memories, and I see these guys as we saw each other as brothers, and I still see them as my brothers, you know. But it doesn't mean we cannot have the conversation about how we could make, you know, or shed light on how we could be better.
You said, I mean, they were operated from a place of love. Obviously,
Yeah,
you moved ahead.
yeah,
Did you have a conversation, not a Twitter conversation? Did you have a real conversation with somebody like
yes.
Ishan Sharma?
Yes, I did. I did, and I had a real we spoke on the phone, um, and let me tell you the history between me and Ishant. We were like we are like brothers. Back then in the Sunrisers camp, he was like my me Ishant and
Holy.
um, no, it was Mishra.
Okay.
We were like you
Three
saw one,
buddies.
you saw all three of us. And I know I have a Ishan Sharma has a big poster of me and him holding hands in hands that I signed, and I said brothers for life. And it's I feel it's still probably hanged up in his room at his house. So so that hasn't changed for me. But you see, it's friendships like that where you could have the difficult conversations, that 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 needs to happen, you know, in order to educate the masses about, you know, when you say colorism, because like I said to Ishant, you know, I believe we had a great time, you know, and he said, bro, you know, I would never uh, use anything that would, in my view, that would be degrading to you. And we all love you and we all operated from a place of love. And I believed him, like I said, you know, because the camaraderie we had in that dressing room was really, really good. But what I said to him, although I believe him, it doesn't mean we shouldn't have the conversation about certain words that could be when used, that could be degrading to one's color of the skin, because he might use that word from a place of love, where others might use it to degrade somebody of color. So I think we should educate on not using those words in that way. And yeah, we've we promised to bring light and share and educate each other about the different cultures and stuff like that.
I mean, next time you guys meet face to face, you'll still be friends, right?
We I well, as far as I know, we are still friends. You know, and that wouldn't change for me. You know, even just the other day, I was having a difficult conversation here in St. Lucia as well, and you know, I'm the type of person. If if I disagree with you on an issue, that doesn't mean we are not friends. It's just
Absolutely.
that I disagree with you on that issue. Now, if you cannot be a man about it and accept my opinion just like I accept yours and agree to disagree, you know, and move on from that, then that's on you. I won't stop, or it won't change the way I interact with you because we had a disagreement. Look at a marriage. They have disagreements all the time.
Yes.
Do every time you have a disagreement, you pack up and leave? No. You agree to disagree, and then you move on. You continue with the life. Now, I'm that type of person, So I think Ishant is the same way as well. So I would expect when I see him, we do our normal routine where we come and we give each other a hug, and we bond that in the hand, and we move on from there.
Maybe take
That's
another
what I would
photograph.
accept.
Maybe
Of
take another.
course. Yes.
Yeah, I will take another
I would
photograph.
I would expect that, but that's I'm open to that, and I know Ishant is the same way as well, So I have no doubt that will happen.
So we can safely say that that's an incident forgotten, and the word is not going to happen again.
I doubt I could safely say that, and I think we both should use our platforms to educate the people on such issues.
Yeah, that's right. Because I'm sure, Darren, you'd like to come back to India and play IPL.
Well, to be honest, I'm closer to retirement than anything else.
Still playing Caribbean Premier League.
Yeah, well, yes. My travels have become less and less, but I definitely will be back in India. Whether it be in a mentor capacity, whether it be coaching, whether it be playing, whichever one comes. I will never say that I'm not coming to India. That's not part of this, because I have, like I said, I have great memories. The people have shown me great love, over the course of my career, and it's a place I've enjoyed. My last international game was at Eden Gardens in Kolkata. So, I have great memories, which, like I said earlier, I will not let a difficult conversation, be the highlight of my relationship with India.
I mean, you're still loved. I mean, when we talk about West Indians, there's a huge degree of love. Is that maybe this incident has been triggered by the George Floyd incident? But West Indian players, whether it's Sammy, whether it's Bravo, whether it's Pollard, of this new generation of players, and whether it was Viv or it was Lloyd or Kalichara, West Indians will always be West Indians and very close to India's heart.
Yes, and we've always had a great relationship, and even, probably India's greatest, Sachin, Sachin Tendulkar. When we went down there to play the 2 test matches when he was retiring, and the level of respect, the level of camaraderie between the two sides, the history between the two sides. I remember at 1 KD, Sachin was on 70 something in his last match, and I literally saved my face from getting from a ball he nicked off Nas in the other end. And it was nothing that was planned, but instantly I realized that, hey, this is the last time the great man is gonna be playing. And I couldn't get myself to celebrate, So we've had a great relationship, IPL and the way it has more or less cement, the way, in India love the West Indians, the way we come there and entertain, the Chris Gills, the Bravos, the Pollards, the Russells, in the current, in the Sulin, the Rhines. And it is a relationship, I think, that will continue to grow, So like I said, there is no animosity towards anybody, on that issue. But I will stress on the importance of educating so such incidents don't happen again.
Do you think organizations like ICC and FIFA should play a big role?
They have to. They have to. They're the mother of all the buds, and if you, as a parent, your responsibility is to look after your kids, train them, and put them in a place of strength, so that when they're ready to take on the world, you've trained them the best way that you can, so they're ready to face the world. So it is the responsibility of the governing bodies to start that education process and make sure it's thorough in implementing those changes.
Now that you say all this, that you've been so vocal about it, I mean, we get the feeling that it's one issue that has always been swept under the rug of the carpet.
Yeah, because it's always, when it changes, change can be scary. But what's even scarier is allowing your fear to stop you from progressing, from evolving, and moving forward. And race is a very sensitive and difficult topic. So most people, they try to avoid it, which is wrong, but I think now, no better time to address it. And, if you look at it as showing compassion towards a human being just like you, being right, giving the equal opportunities, dealing fair. And that's just the basic principles of life. No matter if you're white, black, blue, brown, or orange, you just have to be, fair and respect another human being and see them, as, you and me, we inhale the same air, we exhale the same air. When our time comes, we cannot bring ourselves back to life, whether it be the richest man or the poorest man. What is common is the air that we breathe. So if you see everybody on that level and you do well by your fellow man, it's not that difficult, because I look at it, you asked me a question earlier. Most times I go and play, I'm the only one of most of the times, I'm the only one of my of person of color. But I embrace and adjust to everybody in the dressing room. But everybody else has to adjust to one person, which is me. Which one you think is harder? Me adjusting to everybody, or one person, everybody adjusting to one person? It shouldn't be that difficult. And when you flip it on the other way around, when let's say we have the Caribbean Premier League, where we have the foreigners come in, you will hear them talk about, oh my God, this is the best league, this is the best time we've had, the people so friendly. They come and we embrace them with open arms. So just do the same to us. And I think the world will be a better place.